Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Reality radio for a really great future. We're talking real money.
Welcome to Talking Real Money, the daily talk show. I'm Don McDonald. Hello again. Thanks for stopping in. Really appreciate you being here and hope you'll continue to listen and participate from time to time with a call to 855-935-TALK, 855-935-8255 for questions that you really need to get answered. And as a matter of fact, the best thing you listen to yesterday's podcast. The best thing you can do is call before you get into something, please. Okay. 855-935-TALK is our phone number. Also, we have a super powerful website for you if you want more information on investing or, and I mean this, we will help you. We're 100% fiduciary fee-only advisors, but we also have made a promise to try and help everybody. That's why we do the show. But if you need somebody, you got a situation, you're going, this is complicated, it involves a lot of money, an investing question, you can set up a free appointment with one of our advisors. No obligation. You're never going to get a high-pressure sales pitch, and it doesn't cost anything. Now, we won't be your money manager for life. Sorry, you have to pay for that. But if you need a little help, go to Talking Real Money, and there's a button at the top that says Meet or Schedule an Appointment with an Advisor. It's really easy. So go check that out. And today I want to talk about a part of the industry that I understand why it exists. It bothers me that it does, but I understand the reason. You know, there's this thing called the First Amendment. It's a wonderful thing. But thanks to that wonderful thing called the First Amendment, a lot of folks have discovered that they can give shady financial advice without worrying about SEC or FINRA regulation or even state regulation. And you've got to feel a little bit badly for stockbrokers and investment advisors who provide financial advice, then they charge for it, but they have to be properly licensed and are weighed down by tons of regulations. Not saying the regulations are bad. It's hard to comply with all of them. It's a lot of work, a lot of money. But there's an industry where you can make a lot of money, and I mean millions of dollars, providing people with financial advice without those pesky regulators peering over your shoulder. So what are you doing there, sir? Well, yeah, it's the newsletter publishing business. There's a company called Stansberry Research that just gives out just horrible information, and it's all sensational. But trying to do them one better is a relatively new company out of South Florida, of course, called Banyan Hill. And Banyan Hill sells all kinds of financial newsletters. And yesterday, and I've known about Banyan Hill for a long time. Matter of fact, they want to hire me. I get all these, would you like to work for Banyan Hill? Yeah, no. But this listener found an online ad or something about a prediction from one of Banyan Hill's big guys by the name of Ted Bauman. Ted Bauman, practically every month, is predicting a 70% market crash is just around the corner. You know, he was saying it was going to happen in 2014, 2015, 2016. I found a piece where he said that August 1st, 2018, guaranteed 70% crash, and then it was by January 31st, 2019, guaranteed crash. Well, now the latest at Banyan Hill, go look it up, 70% stock market crash to strike March 1st, economist warns. Gee. If you keep predicting the same thing over and over again, well, you're probably going to be partially right. Whether it's a 70% decline or not, no one knows. But this guy even claims, and I mean, he's older, but he's not that old. He claims he predicted the 1987 crash. Come on. And he predicted 2000 and 2007. Right. He also claims he has a system whereby if you followed his system, you would have never lost money and you would have had returns of 541%. How can he say those things? Because he's protected by the First Amendment. And let me tell you, go to the Better Business Bureau website of Banyan Hill, or complaint site, the BBB site on Banyan Hill, and you'll find that people aren't happy with them. They start you off with free stuff, and then they get you to buy their $47 or their $99 or their $250 newsletters, and then they convince you to spend $3,000 on their other systems, and in some cases as much as $15,000 to learn how to use their systems. As a matter of fact, I think tomorrow I may do a little bit more on Banyan Hill, because since this information was presented to me, I found that they're also making some really, really outrageous claims that even the Better Business Bureau has come right out and said, I don't know, I think we're a little worried about these. But these guys who sell these newsletters can do almost anything. They can lie to you with impunity, so the onus is on you. Nobody can predict the future. Please, if there's anything you glean from this show, there is no expert, not at Banyan Hill or Stansberry or Merrill Lynch or Goldman Sachs or in the U.S. government, who can accurately and consistently predict market movement. It is just not possible. Can they claim it? Of course they can. How? Because people lie. 855-935-TALK's the number, 855-935-8255. Oh, please call with your investing questions, and particularly before you get into trouble, before you get into something. I'm just so tired of hearing horror stories. I want to hear your horror story, of course, and I want to try to help you figure out a way out of it. But after it's happened, it becomes so difficult to fix. It's easier if you call beforehand. And I know all of these people seem either really nice or really smart, like this Ted Bauman guy who seems like some big shot economist. But the reality is they are trying to suck a lot of bucks out of your back pocket, your bank account, and they're really not looking out for your best interests. You need to find somebody who actually looks out for your best interests. And that's what I try to do on the podcast. That's what we try to do at our firm. 855-935-TALK is the number, 855-935-8255. And let's take one of those calls.
Hi, Don and Tom. This is Sean. I heard your podcast on preparing for long-term care and comparing long-term care insurance with investing on your own. My wife, who's in her late 40s, and myself, early 50s, we don't have long-term care insurance, but we would like to start putting away the money, as you suggested in your podcast. So my question is, we have to invest in a taxable account. We're going to put away money every 2 weeks towards long-term care in a taxable account with Vanguard. Could you please recommend a couple of funds into which we could place that money that would be tax efficient and give us a chance of taking care of our needs? Thank you very much, gentlemen. I appreciate your show and your website. Bye-bye.
Planning ahead is a great plan. The earlier you start saving for those retirement expenses like long-term care, the better off, the more comfortable you're going to be, and the less wealthy an insurance company is going to be. Smart move. I applaud it, and I have some advice for you. Now, often we cut off our nose to spite our tax face. We try too hard to avoid taxation and forget that index-oriented mutual funds, index-style funds, funds that buy the market, tend to be very tax efficient because they tend to have very low, and this will be our word for the day, turnover. Turnover is the number of times a portfolio is swapped out. A turnover ratio of 100% means that a mutual fund traded its entire portfolio one time over the year, or the equivalent thereof. Doesn't mean they turned every stock, but the value of the portfolio, 100% of the value of the portfolio turned over. And if you look at a Vanguard, like the Vanguard Total World Stock Index that we talk about all the time, the VTWSX fund, its annual turnover is 9%. That means that they only sell about 9% of the portfolio in any given year, and some of that will be at a gain, but some of that will be at a loss, and they'll pass along very little in the way of gains, and some of those are going to be long-term gains. The rest of the gains in the portfolio accrue. And if you look at, again, this is one of the funds we really like because it gives you a massively globally diversified portfolio of stocks, the Vanguard Total World Stock Index, and it gives it to you for 0.19% per year. The tax efficiency of this fund is really high. According to Morningstar, super high. For example, if you look at the 10-year average annual return of VTWSX, it's about 11.5%. After you pay taxes on the gains, your return is 10.71%. It's a tiny fraction of your return. That is very, very efficient, and it's consistently efficient. So you're not going to get much of a hit in the way of taxes by using the VTWSX for your more aggressive investments. Now, since this is money that you are earmarking for long-term care, you can probably play the long-term odds as long as your personal risk tolerance allows you to do so. Go take the risk quiz at talkingrealmoney.com. It will help you determine your risk tolerance. If you have a high degree of volatility tolerance, then you may want to have 80, 90, even possibly 100% of your money in a stock fund like this, because this fund, this is not buying a stock. It is so very different. When you buy a fund like VTWSX, you purchase ownership of 8,000 companies. 8,000 companies can't all go out of business at once. They just can't do it. Okay? Yes, it does have a yield of 2.26% per year, but by the way, that's factored into that taxable, that after-tax return. So you're really not getting hit much. You're just not. If you want to add a bond fund to that, I would look at Vanguard's intermediate tax-exempt fund, though, because bond funds are taxable income, and you can avoid some there, and the yields are still pretty competitive. I think on the VWITX, which is the tax-exempt intermediate, I believe the SEC yield, and I don't have it right here in front of me, but I think it was like 2.5% federally tax-free, so that's not bad. I hope that answers the question, and I hope you understand what portfolio turnover is. Again, it's just a number reflecting how often the assets in a portfolio turnover. I've seen mutual funds with 500% turnover, which means every penny in that fund has moved 5 times. Again, Vanguard's on the Total World Stock Index, 9%. Really low turnover. They hold on to stocks. 855-935-TALK. That is our number. 855-935-8255. Call anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And by the way, programming note, Tom and I are going to do a 2-hour full show on Saturday as long as Tom doesn't get snowed in somewhere. And that starts at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, where we take your calls live at 855-935-TALK. That's on Saturday. What's Saturday coming up? Let's see. 9th, February 9th. Which is just 1 week away from retirement. And if you need all kinds of great information, if you need help, if you need to find an advisor who's right for you, if you'd like to talk to one of our advisors, if you'd like to take the risk quiz, all kinds of cool stuff. If you'd like to listen to all the podcasts, we now do them weekdaily. Go to talkingrealmoney.com and just click on the various and sundry links. And as soon as retirement is over, I'm going to redo talkingrealmoney.com to make it even more user-friendly and maybe slightly prettier. I'm more about user-friendly than pretty, but, I'll pretty it up too. Take care. Thanks for listening. I'm Don McDonald.
Talking real money. We We hope you realize that the information provided on Talking Real Money is for educational and hopefully enjoyable purposes only. Providing personalized financial planning or investing advice takes time, so please consult with a really good fee-only fiduciary investment, tax, or legal advisor. We know a good one. Investing must always involve risk. In other words, you can and probably will lose money at times. Also, as much as you want it, no one can accurately, consistently predict the future. So past performance doesn't tell you a darn thing about what the future will bring. Unlike many other programs that say something similar, Talking Real Money is not trying to get you to buy or sell any financial products or securities. Instead, the program is provided as a public service by Vestry, a fee-only registered investment advisor. Thanks for listening, and please visit TalkingRealMoney.com for more information and disclosures. Are we done now?